One, and we're live. Welcome, Campbell, to stage 12, unpack of the
Stage
Tour de
12.
France.
Yep.
It's been a good tour. It just continues to deliver day in, day out, and each day it seems like we just see racing. Like there's so much racing. There's little control, lots of variables, lots of teams throwing it down, and the team that we questioned an awful lot in our tour preview with Max Gorn was Team Somewhere. We went, what are these guys doing? No Matthews. What heaps of young guys. Where are they taking this? What's their approach? And not that we haven't seen them yet. They've been awfully good all tour, but last night was a class team performance and then a class individual performance to take stage honours.
Yeah, big time. Just to go back to your first point about the racing, this stage was always going to provide excitement, and we definitely got that in the finale. And yeah, geez, it was good to see Hershey win. I mean, he was so close, especially a couple of days ago when he got caught with 3K to go. Got close on stage 2, only rolled by Alaphilippe. And I mean, he was solo for like 20, 25K last night.
It was long range.
And it was a long stage as well. He pretty much had 200Ks in the legs and then went solo and put time into everyone. So incredible. And it was his first pro victory as well. He was the under-23 champion du monde a couple of years ago, but this is his first pro victory in his first Grand Tour de France. Thanks.
I think your point is important about it. The stage was 218 kilometers. Like, I only remember doing 200 kilometers in stage 7 of Olympia's tour once and getting to 170 kilometers going, oh my God, this is horrendous. As a 23-year-old, getting our regs ripped off by Dylan van Baal. This guy is
in the snow.
In the snow. This guy's at the front of the Tour de France, and he's going wild off the front after being active in many stages, 2 others in particular, where he went on solo missions. And he's at the back end of the stage, 190 clicks in the legs. He's staring down the barrel of his first Tour de France win, and he's going to go. I'm going to go on the attack from long range, and I'm going to put time into quality chases. Like, it's unbelievable.
It was Soler and Sharkman
chasing, exactly.
The two former, the 2 past editions of Paris-Nice. Those 2 guys have won it. Yeah, and he was riding away from them.
Solo. Well, they're 2 up, and they were going full noise.
I think it was important that you brought up the fact that this isn't the first stage that he's been at the front of the race. He hasn't been sitting back in the bunch, saving his legs. He's been active, and we were talking before we went live that often in the past we've seen young riders get thrown into a Grand Tour only to race till about day 12 or 13, then they get pulled out. I mean, those days are gone. We got kids that are 21, 22 going for the GC, tearing stages up like we saw last night. So it's a real changing of the times, and yeah, it's exciting to see.
Or what about the you stay in the under 23s for a bit longer, you do your extra year, and then it pays off later on. Roland Dennis used to get brought up a lot because he did his 4 years in the under 20 trade.
I mean, even when we started this podcast 2 or 3 years ago, that was a big talking point. Now,
versus now, it's like, you just go straight to the tour and you start winning stages.
You go straight from 19s, Evenepoel and Simmons, who we brought up yesterday, just going straight into the pros, skipping the under 20 trays. Don't even worry about it.
It's wild, but it's good because he's such an exciting racer.
Yeah, big time. Oh, I mean, on Hershey, let's just keep touching on him for a little bit. He is so good to watch. He is so good to watch on a bike, isn't he? The way he climbs
clean on the downhill.
on the downhill, super clean when he gets his aero tuck on, using his bike computer, which is the size of an iPad, as TT bars. He looks $1 million, and yeah, super strong. I thought he was actually getting dropped from Soler last night, but we saw another side to him, a little bit of bike IQ, a bit of quality, sort of laid off him a little bit, made him feel like Soler had him, and then just attacked him, like a ton of bricks, went straight through him, and they never saw him again. But I think the big losers of the stage, Alex, were the two teams of the favourites that we talked about yesterday. Yesterday on the pod.
I think there was more than two losers. There was
Who
lots
else
of
do you
losers.
think? Who else do you think lost out?
I think CCC lost out.
CCC and Bora, definitely.
Bora lost out. Quick Step lost out. And Mitchelton Scott lost out. The four teams that were really interested in this stage. And Sunweb put on an absolute clinic. We just got a question. We just got a comment. Andy Sims, regular listener.
Yeah.
He says Team Sunweb are known to have very strict / strange culture. Not many riders get on with it. Well, for Mark Hershey, he's getting on with it. It's working.
Well, he's Swiss. That's why.
Yeah,
loves the regime. Loves the discipline.
Yeah. Loves the protocol.
Loves protocol. All that kind of caper. So it's not a surprise to see him succeed there. But all jokes aside, yeah, from all reports, they are a pretty strict outfit, and that's not for everyone. But for Hershey, he's absolutely thriving there, so that's good. But it's good to note that, because they've lost Michael Matthews. I think Kelderman's moving on, so there's their two I guess star riders are going elsewhere. But I mean, they got Benoot, they've got now Hershey, who's looking really good for those kind of Liège, Ardennes races. You really fancy him in those types of events now.
Mm. Yeah, he's just come back with
Dumoulin and Kittel as well to add to that.
Yeah, that's good fat. They seem to build, like, kind of lay the groundwork for big careers, but never really hang on to them.
Yeah.
Would you? So if you could take hold on to Matthews or hold on to Hershey, which would you take?
Hershey.
Yeah. 22.
Yeah. I mean, he's had a couple of good weeks, but if you're going to have 2 good weeks of the year, it'd be the first 2 weeks of the tour. Obviously, Matthews is a super rider, but was he 30? Turning 30 this year, so probably got another. Yeah, Mitchelton Scott is still going to get another really good 3 or 4 years out of him. But in terms of really long range, another 10 years, I think Hershey's your man. But you were saying Mitchelton Scott was a big loser. Do you really think they fancied it early, or the way just the stage panned out? They, Impey got over that last climb, then they started to commit.
Well, I think now that the jersey's off their hands and Yates is off the GC, it's all about stage.
Yates is at a minute on the GC.
Well, semi off it. They've never publicly stated that they're interested in the general.
Correct. Yeah.
Like, you need Impey needs to be in the finish of those. Like, that's what they're riding for. CCC were the even bigger losers, I think.
It was wild to watch. CCC and Bora, they controlled it all day. A long stage to control, over 5 hours. They must have controlled for 3 hours, that middle 3 hours of the race. And I saw Sharkman tweeted that the plan was for Sagan, but if it blew up on the last couple of climbs, he was going to be the guy jumping up the road. But I don't know whether you would control all day knowing that Sagan was probably going to get dropped.
You want a good Peter Sagan.
You'd want Sagan saying, "Boys, I am getting over the climb with the front guys. I might lose 30 seconds, but as a team, we'll be able to pull them back on the last 20K." It just seemed like there was just a lot of investment for not a whole lot of reward. What do they get? A net 2-point
Green jersey.
green jersey points for the day on Bennett. Like a lot of energy for little reward.
Yeah.
And CCC, I'm not sure. They had Demarki, who was following those moves on the last couple of climbs, but he doesn't seem to be in his career best form. And then when Mitchelton Scott were chasing, there was no Bora helping. There was no CCC, so it was all just messy. I understand Bora perhaps not chasing in the last bit because they had Sharkman up the road, but still, it was a little bit confusing. And both of those teams are still hunting for their first victory of the tour.
Yeah. GVA coming in 14th, my tip. Not great. Not a great performance.
To be fair, that GVA and Sagan, they cleaned up the best of the rest in the bunch sprint.
Yeah.
So they made
if we didn't have that move.
But I'm sure there would have been other guys going. But yeah, it was always going to be a pretty fiery finale, and that's what we saw.
Yeah. No real effect on the general. Looked like a long day, but a pretty protocol day for those riders.
Yeah. Well, when Mitchelton Scott knocked it off with, I'm not sure how long it was to go, 8K, when the gap was at 2 minutes and they weren't really making any headway, that's when Jumbo Visma came to the front just to keep things ticking over. What do they come in? 2 minutes 30 down. No attacks from anyone. Another day ticked off, but I think
strap yourself in for tonight.
Tonight's going to be wild. Tonight's going to be wild.
Should we cross to tonight?
I think so. I don't think there's anything else to touch on from stage 12, unless you can think of anything.
No.
Really
impressive team somewhere. That's the headline.
Yeah.
But tonight, wow, do you want me to get the screen up?
Yep, get it up.
Tricky. Cat 1 pretty much out of the blocks. 23 Ks in, they start ascending after even just a little 3.5K climb. Really out of the blocks. Into just lumpy all day. Hilltop finish.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. So is it Cat 1, Cat 3, Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 3, Cat 2 with bonuses? And then finishing on a Cat 1. And it's a long one too. It's 191K, just quietly.
Yeah. After a 200K day.
What's going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know.
Are people going to try and are the Bennetts and Sagans going to try and keep it together for this?
I'm sure Sagan's going to do everything. I think Sagan can get to the sprint. Breakaway on that first Cat 1. That's a genuine opportunity to get away. That's 10K climbing at 6%. I think we're probably going to see a pretty strong group get away from there. And then are we going to see a UAE or Jumbo try and keep it together for the GC guys to have a showdown on the final climb and go for a stage win, or do you reckon they're going to be happy to just let a breakaway go and fight it out amongst themselves in the back? I'm not too sure.
I don't think anyone knows, but there is high potential for both. I think a Slovenian showdown is possible if there's enough interest to hold it together. But I think probably more the interest would need to come from UAE. Jumbo more likely to concede that, all right, that's the right breakaway to go. We'll let them play ball for the stage win.
Mm-hmm.
Pogačar whereas UAE will probably be more looking for Pogačar to let loose on that final climb.
Yeah. And I guess UAE they've lost Aru and Famolo, who
Yeah.
normally this would have been a perfect stage for them to go in the breakaway, so they don't really have that option anymore.
Maybe not Aru based off his condition.
Well, he was attacking on what was it, stage 6 or stage 7 on that climb. So he obviously had okay legs. His head was just elsewhere. But I mean, yeah, Sagan could probably go in the move, but this is a massive chance for Sagan to take a lot of green jersey points back. So he might try and put himself in there. And if Bennett gets dropped on those first 3 climbs, which is probably very likely, you can probably see Bora making sure Bennett doesn't get back on, especially from the top of that Cat 2 to the bottom of the Cat 3 with 60k to go. I think that'd be a really nice little valley/downhill for them to stretch out that margin to make sure Bennett doesn't get back. But there's so much going on. There's GC, there's stage wins up for grabs in the breakaway. There's green jersey points, King of the Mountains, massive day for that competition too. So there's just so much going on tonight, and it's going to be an exciting stage to watch for sure. We didn't really say what's going to happen because it's a lottery. It's a raffle.
I think we gave the two probable examples. UAE for the stage win will ride, or they'll concede that a breakaway, the right breakaway will go, and they'll throw it down for the stage win.
Yeah.
Your tip?
Well, I'm just looking at like guys that are going to get in the breakaway. Sharkman was good yesterday. Alaphilippe was looking pretty active. Thibaut Pinot. I'm talking Warren Barguil as well. You can probably expect EF to be looking for it with Hugh Carthy's been at the back a lot of this tour. I'm not sure how his legs are, but if he's in any sort of shape, this is probably a good stage for him. Movie Star, what are they doing? They're kind of sniffing around GC, but not really. And to Mitchelton put like a Chavez or a Neve up the road as well. So I'm sort of looking at those sort of guys to get in the break. But tips wise, I'm gonna go Pogacar from the GC scenario.
Yeah.
Or
from the breakaway?
I'm thinking from the break.
Andy Sims just put his money on Lysenko.
Yeah, okay.
Not a bad shout.
Pinot from the break.
The other rider we haven't touched on / team is Bahrain McLaren. Mikel Landa sits at 142. They need to get busy if he's for his GC hopes.
Yeah, do you reckon there's going to be? It's not like one of those stages where you can go wild from the start as a team. There's just seems like there's a little bit too much valley and too many places where it's going to be hard to keep pulling it. So maybe today is not the day for one of those like long range team assaults. But you're right; those sort of Richie Ports and Neva and Landa, if they want to win this race, they're probably got to try and do something pretty wild.
Yeah,
but I don't think the night is tonight for that sort of caper. But yeah, who's your tip?
Chavez from the breakaway. And I think that's us. In other news, should we touch on Stanley Street's released a new range of merch. If you want a hoodie or a tee, you pick one up online now. And also, Lewis Hamilton picked up his first World Tour victory last night.
Yeah, at Torino, big race.
Pity it's on the same time as the Tour.
Yeah, I know. Kind of a little bit of lights taken away from that race. Some big names there as well. Tearing up Torino. Geraint, Simon Yates. Froome still not looking good. But yeah, maybe that Chavez tip is good, Albie. Good energy in the Mitchelton Scott camp from Lucas's win. So they might be looking to do the same thing in the tour tonight.
Sounds good. Alrighty.
Cool. We'll
Thanks
touch
for tuning in
in
all.
tomorrow.
Touch base tomorrow. If you've got any feedback on the live streams, please send it all in. We're all eyes and ears.
Good or bad.
Good or bad. Good will be taken on. Bad will be selective. But we might take it on. See ya.